o'clock Sunday morning, Thoreau and Mrs. Emerson stepped onto the wharf at the Battery in New York City, where they were instantly besieged by an army of starving cabmen, a confused jumble of heads in the soiled clothes dangling from flesh-colored faces, all swaying to and fro as if by a sort of undertow, each siding along their buggy whips to the harried couple, all growing more insistent by the minute. "Want a cab, sir?" "You want a cab, sir?" Thoreau helped them off with a stare and escorted Mrs. Emerson and their baggage to the Staten Island ferry landing. They all said, "Do you want a cab?" What they said to Thoreau when he arrived, "Do you want a cab?" God, I couldn't believe it. They were soon home at the long, brown shingled house Waldo Emerson had dubbed the Snuggery, tucked behind a grape arbor and surrounded by gardens and a tree-shaded lawn. It was green and rural and overlooking woods stretching south to the sea. From the hilltop above, Thoreau could see all of New York. Brooklyn to Long Island, the Narrows, from Sandy Hook to New Jersey.
That's where he lived, huh?
You could see all that. It must be a hilltop.
He had a good house, huh?
Oh, the Snuggery. Huh. It was at the Waldo Emerson house, the Snuggery. Where's that? It's in Staten Island. Over the Atlantic to ships on the horizon, nearly a day's sail away. Staten Island was William's rural retreat from his Manhattan law office. He was a man of stature, the Richmond County judge of the Court of Common Pleas, and Fuller thought he was, quote, as unlike his brother as possible. It seems that Ralph Waldo Emerson's brother was unlike him. He was a judge or something.
Yeah, two brothers.
Very much the gentleman, clear-headed, amicable, but a mere businessman with no love for transcendentalism. Now, why is Henry going there when he doesn't even love transcendentalism? He's a businessman. Thoreau was tasked with tutoring.
But he went to his brother's house.
Yeah.
But he was Thoreau was the transcendentalist.
Yeah.
He went to his brother's house. He was not.
Thoreau, Emerson's brother. Emerson's brother.
Emerson's house.
But it doesn't matter. His job is to tutoring the 7-year-old Willie, and perhaps with helping the toddlers, Charles and Haven as well. Days were rigid. Breakfast at 6:30. Lunch at noon.
What is going to do with toddlers?
Dear, here's how you have an American style breakfast at 6:30, lunch at noon, dinner at 5.
6:30.
School mastering it from 9 to 2. 9 to 2. He found Mr. and Mrs. Emerson irreproachable and kind, but not indeed my kith or kin in any sense. Waldo insisted Emerson have a room of his own, but it never so small wherein to dream, write, and declaim alone. Henry has always had it, and always must. He has to have a room dry of his own.
You mean there are two Emersons now? You're telling me.
What do you mean Emerson's? I said there's Emerson's brother.
So, like Thoreau has a brother, Emerson has a brother also.
Emerson's brother, dear. He got a job with Emerson's brother, teaching Emerson's brother's kid in New York. But it wasn't heated.
Not the poet Emerson, though, eh?
Yes, the poet Emerson.
Oh, that's the poet Emerson. He
His,
was so wealthy.
what?
He was so well-to-do.
Emerson was well-to-do. It wasn't heated, so wherever Henry needed a room with a fire, he had to juggle with Judge Emerson for the library or the basement parlor. His room wasn't heated. Off duty, he explored the neighborhood, alternating between the two things I hear, the roar of the sea and the hum of the city. The island's natural history drew him first. Sweet gum and tulip trees, wild garlic that grew everywhere and flavored the cow's milk. 17-year-old locusts that filled the air with their din. Pharaoh, and fattened the local dogs, cats, and chicons. He walked all over Staten Island from Telegraph Hill to the sailors' snug harbor to the old elm tree on the shore where the island's first settlers, the Huguenots, landed in 1661. Do you know that's when they first landed in New York?
Who are those?
Huguenots,
Who are the
the
Huguenots?
Dutch.
Who are they?
1661, and Thoreau went there to the tree. Where's the old elm tree? The old elm tree. So that would be the first place they landed in New York, is Staten Island.
Certainly, it makes sense.
The sea drew him most. I like it much, he wrote Emerson. Everything there is on a grand, generous scale: seaweed, water, sand, and even the dead fishes. Horses and hogs have a rank, luxuriant odor. He likes the hogs and the horses because they're positive odor. Do you think hogs have a positive odor?
What's hog?
Pig.
Oh, God.
The great sad net spread to dry.
Actually, when we had a pig, the odor didn't bother me, but the horses and the cows, they bothered me.
Yeah, I think
the horse and the cows were together.
There's much worse odors than pigs, I'll tell you.
Oh, indeed.
The great shad net spread to dry, crabs and horseshoes crawling over the sand. He watched men draw their boats up and in onto the sand with teams of oxen, stepping about amid the surf, as if it were possible they might draw up Sandy Hook. He made friends with old Captain Smith, the fisherman, who drew up nets full of moss bonkers, or menhaden, which he sold by the thousand to fertilize the island's lean soil from shore. They used to fertilize the soil with fish.
Certainly, even today,
Remember
the salmon goes and dies, the nitrogen from their body, disintegration,
remember
helps
how
the forest a lot.
Didn't the Indians do that? Like they put down a fish and then plant the corn?
Maybe.
From shore, Thoreau could watch immigrant ships stop at the nearby quarantine quay, where children ran races and swam while their parents stretched their limbs and took the air, waiting the ships to be purified. They are detained but a day or two, and then go up to the city, for the most part without having landed here. For the most part, neither had he. To go up to the city was a half-day's trip. Just think, to go to the city took half a day. The boat ran 5 or 6 times daily, and catching it meant a half-hour walk up Richmond Road and nearly a mile along the beach from the south tip of Manhattan. It was already 2 or 3 mile walk on hard pavement to anywhere, and only were it to rain shillings could Thoreau afford the omnibus. You see, that's a long commute. Half a day. You see, he wrote his parents, it is quite a day's training to make a few calls in different parts of the city. His first Saturday he called on Prudence, Ward's brother George. He told him about setting up a Demagure type studio there. He met with Emerson's young friends Giles Waldo and William Poppin and clerks in the National Credit Bureau that Tapon's father, the abolitionist Louis Tapon, ran. A kind of intelligence officer for the whole country, Thoreau explained to his father. A business about to employ thousands. Saturday being a work day, the two took Henry to a neighborhood alehouse for a quick visit. He finished with some sightseeing, the Great Western, the first transatlantic passenger steamship. He saw the first transatlantic passenger steamship, which cut the crossing to Europe from several dangerous weeks to a few safe days. How could that be? That's fast. The Croton waterworks, to see how water was piped, Do you remember? Didn't we went with Effie to the Croton Waterworks? Do you remember that place in Croton?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's where he went?
Yeah, he went to Croton Waterworks to see how.
I thought he's in Staten Island now.
No, he went all the way up to Croton to see how the water was piped in from 40 miles away, making such urban density possible. The National Academy of Design he went to. Do you remember the National Academy of Design?
No.
Up on Fifth Avenue?
Oh, she came here.
Where he saw landscapes by Asher Durant and Emmanuel Lutze, career-making return of Columbus in chains. His Washington crossing the Delaware would soon follow. It was a heady introduction to the technologies on the vanguard of modernity, photography, a global economy, urban expansion, his first glimpse of modern art. So here we're looking at photography, globalism, and urban expansion by Thoreau. Thoreau goes, we're reading about how Thoreau goes to New York. Goes to New
It would
York.
be nice to take a photograph from Staten Island, and have a photograph from.
We're going to retrace his steps.
Fine.
We're already inside of steps. We're reading from the life of Henry David Thoreau. There are morning clean table readings. Look, there's no junk on the table. We took the junk off. We've minimalized ourselves and cleaned up or decluttered the table.
After you messed up.
After I messed it up because of the mess, we cleaned it. Because messing leads to more messes, so now we have no mess.